And you can see I've been adding to my scaffolding here. I put another bar up on there. Oh, a little bit to help keep you from falling back off the thing, but more, I mean, if you ever leaned against it, you'd probably tip the whole thing over anyway, but if nothing else, it gives me a, you know, a notification. You can feel that you're backing into it, leaning against it, so you can grab something before you go over, or know at least before you go over. And there, I needed to do just that little bit. That's all we needed to do there. I think I'll just set that on that. And I also put a couple, 2.5 feet in here, some 2x, and there's a couple strips of plywood underneath to keep them locked together. Actually works pretty well. It extends this out to over 14 feet, which means I can do a normal length section in one go without having to move the scaffolding. But also having these, I got screws through all 4 corners here, and they're behind this bar that goes across down there. There's a bar there, and that locks them together. So not only will they not come out when I'm working up here, but I can also move the whole thing forward and back along here as a train. 2-car train. This block here I put in, and it's just to hold the wood when I initially get it set in there. I try to put it in the middle. Depending on how much curve there is to the boat, if there's a lot of curve to the boat, I may put it closer to the end that's going to connect, so I don't have to put so much force on it to get it up against the side of the hull of the frames. This one here is actually a little bit longer than normal. It's 20-footer. We're actually gonna go 16 feet with it. And I'm looking pretty good here. I don't know, I have trouble sometimes getting these gaps filled, getting these boards cut properly. Because I usually when I put a board up, I cut it to length once it's up there. I lay a straight edge on here, draw a line, and then cut it. And sometimes this happens, I get a gap in there. Well, not really going to hurt anything. You know, the glue goes over it, then plywood, so it's going to get filled in and then glued to it, so it's not really an issue. Now, generally when I'm working up here, I will keep my driver on my belt, and I really like having, you know, my tools and screws and all that stuff up here where I'm not having to bend over every time to pick something up. But I'm at the point now where I need to use these pipe clamps to edge set these boards, because I can't get the clamps in there. The spreader clamps, I can't get spreader clamps in there anymore. There isn't enough room. And I'm not going to be able to get that last plank or two done this way either, so I don't know what I'm going to do on the next plank for clamping, for putting clamping force downward on it. We shall see. And I'm not super worried about, you know, gaps here. I don't want huge gaps here, edge setting them, but I'm not worried about little gaps either. So I'm not getting super fussy about that. Let's see, now we got contact here and we got contact here, and there's a little gap in there, but that's not going to hurt anything. My drill. I've been going through these things right and left, and you can see this one's bent. The shaft broke off. Second screw I went to put in with this drill with this thing, the little shaft that connects to broke off. So I got just a little tiny small diameter shaft on there, and I suppose I bent it, banged it up against something or whatever. And I got some holes drilled in here occasionally for holding my drills and drivers and whatnots. This wax here, this is toilet bowl wax. I just cut it into chunks and melted it into a cup to make it easier to work with. And then these screws, once I get them a little wax on them, I stick them between my index and middle finger, and I can still work with my hand fairly well. And I don't usually lose them that way. And I just kind of learned how much force to use with a power driver like that. Now these on the ends, of course, I'm running them in just a little bit of an angle so I don't have to work right on the edge of the board here. Hopefully a little less likely to split out. And then I kind of check to see how I'm doing. Okay, that all looks good. Now here in the middle, of course, it gets a little easier. We try to not line these holes if possible. So since we've got a screw and a hole here, and then down here we'll put this one, if possible. That's the way I do it. Now, I don't always do it that way because sometimes there's a clamp or something in the way. But if possible, I try to offset these holes so they're not as close together, any closer together than they have to be. I used to line up a bunch of these screws before I had this rack up here. And this little tray here, it's got little pins on the bottom. It'll fit on the ends of the posts there. So when the whole thing is lower, and that's going to be up higher to your work level, or more at a more appropriate work level, I don't have it up here. But when I'm up higher, see, I got a couple holes drilled in there, and those pins just drop into those holes. And that works all right. Typically always start on the bottom, because if there's any twist in the board, this part of the board needs to go in first, and then the top. So I generally always drive the bottom screw in first. Now here's where we got some problems, because we can't get at the frames to clamp these in the middle here. And this is probably going to need a little pick it up and set it in there. And that'll work, but we'll need a clamp down here to hold it in place. Come on here, what's going on? That's what's going on. Still a little bit of curve in this, which creates the edge set. So We need to work it in there. Now again, you can see we're spacing our butt joints here, and two frames, and we try to do not more than every third one up. Go in this direction too. So you can see, like here, there's only one joint in that whole section. Nothing there, nothing there. And then over here, there's a couple. And you can see how these are laying on here. Now we're towards the middle, so it's a little easier to get these lined up, you know, to get this a nice flush surface. But it's not perfect everywhere. In a perfect world, it would be perfect, but you know, it's just the way it's going to be. In this type of boat, where we're going to have an outer skin that seals the boat from the water, I'm not as worried about it as I would be on a traditionally planked boat. If you have adequate ventilation inside the boat, there really shouldn't be a lot of options, or you know, a lot of places for water to collect and to cause rust, cause rot. Now here, I put the top one in first, simply because it worked out better because I had a clamp in the way of the other one. You know, we want these countersunk enough that when I'm sanding and planing this surface off prior to putting the plywood on, that we got a little room to work. Some of these I maybe got too deep, some of them maybe not quite deep enough, but I don't think it's really going to matter. Again, well, if they're too shallow, if the hole isn't deep enough, the countersink isn't deep enough, that would be a problem. But you can kind of see that when you're working on it. If you have to, you can go back over it again. Now, here, see, this one is not, this one's in pretty good shape yet. But this one here is almost a ½ an inch away from the side. Now, we may be able to pull that in if I don't put too much clamping force on it. If I don't have to put too much clamping force on it, we may be able to just pull that in with a screw. We'll see. Oh yeah, there we are. Now we're hitting. Okay. Put that down just a little more. That doesn't make any difference, does it? Yeah, it's not going to change until I get it pulled down a little bit. Well, shucks. Guess I got different bar clamps that don't have handles on top here. That's what I probably need at the moment. But I may also be shallow enough here that if I got one more long bar clamp, yeah, this one. Probably going over here, yeah. Yeah, it's not too bad. You can really hear it when you get into this area where the tanks are. And we can take this off. Now, this one, we'll have to see if we can get it pulled in there or not. I don't know. I think it'll go in. Yes, it did. Perfect. Yeah, I would have liked to have had that a little tighter. But I guess we can get one of these in there now. Nope. Oh. So, we need a pipe clamp. Or would something else work in there? Supposedly I could reverse the clamp, tighten it from the bottom, but that's kind of a fuss. These. Is that going to be any shorter? Yeah, we'll grab a couple of them and see what. These look significantly shorter. Oh yeah, sure. Don't have enough real estate left on that clamp. No, we will. There we go. And of course, we always go into each piece of this, half of this frame, rather than going in the same side. Now, I need to get this laying up on there. And then also get it pulled in. And of course that board on the inside here is kind of in my way. Yeah. It actually looks pretty good. I think we'll just go with that. Yeah, I'm down to 3 boxes of these screws, 300 screws, so I need to order some more. I think maybe I'll do that tonight. Probably will have enough to get up to the shear line, but that's about it. You know, this one, since I got a screw there, I'm going to go over here with the first one. And then before we can go any further, of course, I'll have to move my scaffolding, but I'm going to have to cut that. I think this one gets cut off here. Although I could go, what did I say, 16 feet? Yeah, so that would be here, it gets cut off. So I'll have to move the scaffolding and do that. But I probably won't show you that. All right. Very good. So I think we'll end this video here.